This week on the Analog Circle podcast, Microsoft announced their E3 press conference will be the longest one they have ever had. Konami is bringing back another classic franchise in a pretty big way. Death Stranding's release date could have leaked. Could Ubisoft announce a new game service similar to EA Access at E3? Sony's next VR headset won't release with the PlayStation 5, and Microsoft's xCloud streaming service will be able to stream up to 3,500 games. All of these stories and so many more in episode number 102 of the Analog Circle podcast. I am your host, Kiaun Mitchell, and I want to say welcome. Man, oh man, it's good to have you here with me because you could have been anywhere else, but we're here together, brother. So, with that being said, this week, as far as what I have been playing or been into, man, I got to tell you, I'm on a winning streak right now. I have not played anything this week, to be honest with you, so I can't really dwell on that too much. Just been working a little bit, just haven't had a lot of time to do it. But outside of that, man, I just want to get into the feedback section because it ain't too much more to talk about me. So let's go ahead and let's start things off in my favorite section of the podcast. Now let's get things started with Mr. Cody Clark. This guy right here, this guy's awesome. If you haven't heard, about 2 episodes ago, he was on the podcast. We had a roundtable discussion about Microsoft. Him and Goose were on. So if you haven't heard that, definitely go ahead and check it out, man. But anyway, let's get into this brother's email. Now, the title of his email is Random Musings in Cody's Brain. Now, he says, I wouldn't mind Sony letting more of their console-only games end up on PC. Now, of course, this is the question last week, is Sony's games coming to other devices? All right. Now, he says, even if they don't get to Xbox, I still haven't figured out the wireless monitor thing to allow me to stream my PC to my Xbox, but I can stream my Xbox to my PC, so it's sort of a half step. I realized a few games that I could only get on PlayStation 3/4 ended up in my Steam account, which I almost never use anymore. Though, unlike Goose, I don't have much interest in tracking of all the games ever. Maybe if I had a more simple way to access different games, I'd be prone to more excitement. To which I'm sure Aaron would probably answer, and I quote, play more indie. Shout out to Aaron in the Game Enthused podcast. He continues to say, but then again, I'm sure if I asked him what his favorite flavor milkshake is, he'd say the same thing. Then again, I'd be much more happy with more cross-play, cross-platform stuff. Fortnite set the bar and like almost nobody else seems to be keen on it. I guess if it doesn't set the world on fire, business hides in a corner and just ignores great ideas. Or I live in Cody's Utopia land, and nobody recognizes my genius. So I want to say shout out to you, Cody, and very good point as far as this crossplay goes. Now, I don't know, Cody, if you were aware of this. There is another game, and it's by Epic. They have a game out called Dauntless that has actually, to your point, it released, I think, the 23rd of May. I might be a little off on that, but I believe it was the 23rd of May. And it is a free-to-play game, but it's cross-platform over all different places to play: the PlayStation 4, the Xbox One, and the PC. And this game, as of today, which I'm recording this, I believe today is the 29th, May 29th. Let me check the date, make sure. Yes, it is. May 29th. That game has over 6 million players that are playing the game. So, with that being said, even though it's a free-to-play game, it's a ton of free-to-play games out there. But the sheer fact that they have 6 million in such a small period of time definitely shows that there is a market for this. And it also seems to me, Cody, that Epic, they're the ones that are pushing this because, of course, they own now Rocket League, which at one time those devs, they said that they could make the game cross-play, but Sony did not want it. So with Epic being able to be in the driver's seat with that, along with Fortnite, that's under their umbrella, and now this new game, Dauntless, I have a big, good feeling that it's going to be Epic that will continue to push this boundary of cross-play and everybody being able to enjoy the same game just on different platforms. So it also seems to me, Cody, that you wouldn't mind if Sony's games came out to other platforms, even if it wasn't on Xbox. Like you said, even if it was on PC, you would be fine with that. And I tell you, Cody, it truly looks like that is the future of gaming that we are headed towards. I am not on board with that because I still continue to feel that it will take away that competition and that reason to compete if you can get every game on every platform. It seems like it diminishes what that console's stronghold or why do you go to that console? You know, if you can play the games anywhere, I just don't think it really makes for great competition. But once again, with all of these streaming services and things that are being released and announced, we'll have to see, man. It's going to be crazy. But Cody, I truly want to thank you for this email. This was excellent. And please continue to write in, brother. Thank you so much, man. Now, I want to get to I got another email here, man. This is amazing to have, man, more than one email a week. It's absolutely, man, it's incredible because Cody, I got to shout that brother out again. He was writing in every week and he was the only person in the feedback section. So I'm forever grateful to that brother. But this week we have Mr. Free Fly Ferret. He actually wrote in, and man, I want to get to this brother's email because last week he gave me a great email, had me excited about if I had a budget to be able to make my dream game. So, man, I want to shout this brother out as well, Mr. Free Fly Ferret. Now, his email's title is Console Retirement. He says, my brother, I feel more and more like this next console generation will be the last. With everything moving towards cloud gaming, new consoles will be out of date before they ever reach the shelf. Cloud servers will be able to scale to the needed power of a game and be virtually limitless. The only bump in the road I see is the spotty internet throughout the states. Very good point, man. He continues to say also, as more and more bandwidth is needed from consumers, it won't be long before these companies really take advantage of us. What are your thoughts? A Free Fly Ferret. Excellent email, brother. I want to thank you for this. That is my problem with this streaming service. Now, right now, as it stands, it's all optional. That's what they keep saying. Hey, it's just an added option. Don't worry about it. It's just lurking in the background. Just options. This is excellent because that is my fear, is that eventually people are not going to be able to own their game. Shout out to Aaron again from Game Enthuse. He was bringing this up in his voicemail last week when he was talking about, this may be a thing that we'll have to get used to, not being able to own the content. People are okay with it on Netflix and, Hulu or wherever you consume your content at. But with this gaming situation, my goodness, the data caps. In Baltimore right now, we don't necessarily have a data cap, but who's to say it couldn't hit us? Some cities are getting hit, some are not. Some states are getting hit, some are not. So with this being a reality right now, the data caps are a thing, and internet isn't as fluid in some areas. And me being a truck driver, I definitely get to experience some of these internet lulls in some of these spots. So, my thing is this, man, not being able to own the content. Not being able to have a physical disc to download the information onto your console. People can say, hey, you got to download it anyway. The disc is nothing but a key to access the data. Yeah, that's true. But I can keep this same disc for 15, 20, 30 years, however long I want to keep it, and not have to worry about it being stripped away from me. Now, if the servers go down, oh well, so what? That's on them, but I still have the disc. If you are completely, solely basing your gaming off of the cloud, man, we have seen so many games get taken out of these services all the time. Xbox Game Pass, games are being taken in, some are being, taken out. So you never know what game you're going to get at any given time. And just like Free Fly Ferret said, they are definitely going to take advantage of this. They're going to say, hey, look, we see that you guys are streaming. The bandwidth is going to have to be crazy. I know these games are going to be 75, 80 gigabytes, as far as like how big the file would actually be. But imagine streaming a game for 6 or 7 hours, even 2 or 3. It's going to be insane. Your data cap is going to go through the roof. So I think somebody like Verizon or Comcast that we have here in Baltimore City, they're going to be like, you know what? We can really take advantage of this. These guys, they're gaming. We're going to up the doggone bandwidth cap, or, that we're going to add an extra $60 or $70 to the bill because they're going to go over. They're going to continue to go over, and that's just going to be another way that they can make money off of us. So, once again, and I got quite a bit of news about this xCloud stuff and, Stadia, but, to that point though, Free Fly Ferret, that's why I'm against it. I don't think it's gonna be in our favor as gamers. I think they're all trying to push us into a corner. They're all trying to get us in one area where they finally control everything. Now, keep in mind, I know that these companies do what they want to do, at the pace they want to do them. But if you're getting no fight or any rebellion from the customer base, or you push them into this corner where they can't do anything, man, you are really going to get the short end of the darn stick. So I don't want to harp on this too much longer, but Free Fly Ferret, this was excellent. I'm against it. I truly think that they're going to exploit us with this, and that's why I don't want cloud gaming to become the norm. Once again, thank you so much for this email, brother. I greatly appreciate it. Keep on writing in. Thank you, man. Now, with that being said, in the feedback section coming to an end, if you do want to be a part of the feedback section, you can do it 2 different ways. You can either email the show, and the email is theanalogcirclepodcast@gmail.com, or you can call in and let your voice be heard. And that can be reached at 443-216-9934. So with that being said, guys, I want to get into this week's gaming news that went down. Now let's get it started. To Free Fly Ferret's to his credit, let's get it started with some Stadia news. Now, of course, this is Google's gaming streaming service. Oh, gosh. And we heard back in March that we would get more info about the service over the summer. Well, it looks like they are sticking with this time frame, because Stadia just sent out a tweet that says, and I quote, "This summer, 3 of the wishes, 3 of the wishes you've been asking for will finally be granted. Price reveal, game announcements, and launch info." End of quote. So once again, with Google essentially doubling down on this time frame, will Google be at E3? We know Sony is not going to be there and EA is not going to be there. I'm sure somewhere in there, possibly Google Stadia could fit into some kind of time slot, or they may do it via a conference that's pre-recorded, kind of like a Nintendo Direct, where they go through more of the information. But nonetheless, this is very interesting because a lot of people, including myself, want to know how much is this service going to cost. Now, it's been some rumors out there that are saying that, hey, the service itself will be free, but you'll have to pay $60 for the games. That's how they're going to make their money. I don't know if that's true or not, and I don't even know if that's feasible or not, because it seems like they're putting a lot of resources onto this thing, so they're going to need some kind of return on the money, and I'm sure that them getting a piece of how much a $60 game is going to cost just might not cover those expenses. And once again, ain't no darn way I'm paying $60 for a game that I got to stream. Then you got to worry about buffering. You got to worry about all of the pixelation. You got to worry about the controls being sluggish, even though shout out to Next Gen 720, he said he played it, Zaire, he said he's played on Stadia and it really worked. He said he played Assassin's Creed, I think it was Origins, and he said it looked better than the Xbox One X and it played flawlessly. So who knows, I believe Next Gen 720. I think he's very genuine. I think he's being honest about it. But, maybe at that point when he got in, we're talking about maybe thousands, but then you get those same servers with millions of people. Who's to say that it might not start becoming sluggish and you're going to have not bandwidth problems, but buffering problems. You're not going to be getting the best quality of what the game can bring. So, these are all questions that we have, but nonetheless, or at least I have, but nonetheless, we will definitely get some confirmation over the summer. Moving on to the next story. Now, we're going to keep with this cloud gaming because this cloud gaming subject is it's a very hot topic in the industry. So, some people are for it like myself and some people are against it, but nonetheless, we're here and it's coming. And, as we get closer to E3, I'm sure, we're going to hear a whole lot more outside of, just, Google, but we have Microsoft that are stepping into the ring with their xCloud service, their streaming service. Now, they are saying that this streaming service, this xCloud streaming service, has the quote-unquote, the technical capability to stream more than 3,500 games, end of quote. Now, it's also being reported that game developers will also be able to tweak their games slightly for streaming, allowing for, font size and adjustments for smaller displays, or even hosting multiplayer matches on a single server to keep that very important, like I mentioned, that very important latency down to a minimum. Now, the 3,500 games that are being reported will also include Xbox 360 games as well as Xbox One games. That's pretty darn cool. Now, Microsoft also said that when a developer updates a Xbox One game, those changes will be automatically applied to the xCloud version. So whenever a game, that's pretty cool. That's great. 3,500 games, I will say, for the casual. And I think this is where Microsoft and Stadia and possibly PlayStation, PSN are really, they're trying to cater to the less hardcore demographic, but they're trying to get that casual into the gaming space. If you told a casual who maybe only gets a console for, you already know the games, the casual, what a quote unquote casual games, Call of Duty, NBA 2K, and Madden. You get that guy in the door and you tell them, well, look, we're going to have those there, but not only are you going to be able to play those, we're going to have it so you have 3,500 other games to choose from. Now, this far exceeds Game Pass with the 100+ games that they have on that service. But if you can get that person in that normally only picks up 3, maybe 4 games a year and tell them we can flood you with these games, that is a heck of a selling point. That is absolutely something you can't deny. Now, how much is xCloud going to be? I don't know. I have no clue. Some people are saying it's going to be free. I don't know how it's going to be free. Once again, they're using all kinds of resources. This stuff costs money. They're offering 3,500 games that it can stream. Who knows how much it's going to be? I'm sure, just like Stadia, we'll probably hear more about this at E3, but nonetheless, very interesting news coming out of both of these camps that are going to be fighting head to head with one another, trying to get the upper edge on the other competitor. And I do like the fact that with this service, it will adjust to the screen size. Like if you're playing it on a mobile device, shucks. I can't even imagine playing a Halo or a Gears 6 on my goddamn phone. I can't fathom the thought or it being on a tablet. I don't know how this is going to work, but nonetheless, it's coming, man. It's coming. So we'll just have to see. E3 is coming up. Good grief, in a little more than a week. So a ton of news is going to be flooding out. But I do want to say this, though. We are like darn near at the end of May. And, I brought up Game Pass. We just talked about xCloud. I want to let you guys know I got a giveaway here, man. And if you are interested, this is for 3 months of Xbox Game Pass. Now, all you got to do is just type in this code, okay? That's all you got to do. So get your pens out, get your pencils out, or your Crayolas, and get ready to write down this number and see if you can win. So here we go. This is for 3 months of Game Pass. Now, the code is JGT4F62P6 M7HQ3 GG6Q3 9QDTZ. Once again, as for 3 months of Game Pass, I love doing these giveaways. That is for you. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. A lot of people are on the fence about Game Pass. This is a chance for you to jump into it for free, check it out for yourself, and maybe you'll enjoy it because Gears 5 is coming up. It'd be a great way to get Gears 5 for basically $10 a month or, $10 a month. What am I talking about? Yeah, so check it out once again. Oh, yeah, and by the way, I had given away, this was about 2 weeks ago, I gave away a 12-month membership for Nintendo Switch's online service. So nobody claimed this code. So since we're at the end of the month, I'm going to read off that code as well. Nobody claimed these joints. So the next one is for the 12 months of online for the Nintendo Switch. That number is B12QF6TB46NK04LT. Once again, if you guys are able to, get these codes. If you win, just email me to let me know that you got them or call in. That way I don't continue to, read these off. It's not required to, write in or anything like that, but it does help me to be able to keep these things I don't know, man, keep it in line so I'm not putting out codes out there that have already been used and people think I'm flaking on them. So do me a favor, write in. The email address once again is the Analog Circle Podcast at gmail.com. Let me know if you got them or not. But anyway, that is my gift to you for just supporting me. Truly appreciate it, man. So let's move on to the next story. Now, with all of this next-gen talk, good grief, we got PlayStation 5 coming out there, having loading screens that's lasting 0.085 seconds. Craziness. The new Xbox is supposed to be stronger than the PlayStation 5 by a mile, 11 teraflops, and all of this stuff that we've been hearing about. But nonetheless, with all of that talk, It's also been some PlayStation talk as well about a new PlayStation VR that is coming to the market. Now, this is something that I'm very interested in. We had read that patent where they were saying that they were working on a wireless PlayStation VR where it would be no wires and all of this great stuff. So everything was pointing to this unit actually possibly launching with the PlayStation 5 side by side. But according to, we got to put the brakes on it because Sony's global head of R&D for PlayStation, his name is Dominic Mallison, he talked with CNET and said, and I quote, "There's no reason for us to coincide it with a new console." To where he continued to say, from the point of view, now I'm botching this all up, but let me try to get it back on track, god dang it. He said, with the view of the consumer to be bombarded with many, many things. Oh, you have to buy this, or you have to buy that, is a message that we don't want to send. In some ways, it's good to have a little breathing space between those things. End of quote. Now, even though it won't be there at the PlayStation 5's launch, Mallison did mention what they are working towards for the next PlayStation 5. I mean, not the PlayStation 5, but the PlayStation VR to be. Now, he says this is what he wants it to be, and I quote, he says, "We do want it to be lighter weight and easier to put on. Less cables, less mess, eye tracking," and he also said the current Move controllers need to evolve. So right now, it looks like they are still deep into the R&D phase with this, trying to get it out to market. But I think it is a good thing that the PlayStation VR won't be launched with or alongside the PlayStation 5, because when you think about it, the PlayStation VR came out years later after the PlayStation 4 had already released. So with them continuing to try to make it more lightweight, having it have less cables, getting that eye tracking in there, and, possibly and hopefully updating the Move controls technology, they're going to be making it much better. Who knows how much it's going to cost? Who knows when it's going to release? But nonetheless, it is good to see that they are at least working on the next iteration of the PlayStation VR, and I'm sure it's going to be much better. And once again, you're coming out with a peripheral that's probably, I'm guessing, with this one being much better than the one that's already out, it's probably going to be at, I'm just going to throw a number out there, probably between $400 and $500. Who wants to feel like, man, I just got the PlayStation 5. That cost me possibly $500. And now you mean to tell me I have to pay $500 for another peripheral to add on to it? That could be a bit of sticker shock. So it is a good move. It's a great strategy to go ahead, let the PlayStation 5 come out, see how big and successful it's going to be, because we do know that with the PlayStation VR, the adoption rate is, it's the best. It's the most successful VR headset out there. But at the same time, when you look at how many PlayStation 4s are out there to how many PlayStation VRs have been picked up, the numbers are pretty low. I think it was at 3 million units of the PlayStation VR sold, and it's like 90 million PlayStation 4s out there that have already been sold. So it's like, good grief, the percentage is super low. So I guess they're going to wait, gauge the market, see how well it's going, and then possibly bring it out. And maybe if they wait a little bit, it could make the price of the PlayStation VR a little cheaper. So we'll have to see, but nonetheless, don't expect a PlayStation VR, a new PlayStation VR at the launch of the PlayStation 5. And also, another key point to that is that they did say that the PlayStation VR, the one that's already out, will be compatible with the PlayStation 5. So that's really good news, because if you think about it, and if you remember that if you had a PlayStation 4 versus a PlayStation 4 Pro, the VR ran a lot better on the PlayStation 4 Pro. So if this is going to be compatible with the PlayStation 5, who's to say that it won't be even that much better once you're playing it, and the experience, is going to be just so much better on the PlayStation 5. So we got to keep that in mind too. And by that time, the PlayStation VR, like I said, I got mine for like $200 over Black Friday, and it included Moss, and it included what's that game? I forget, the one with the robot, something Blocks or whatever. I don't know. I still haven't opened it. I haven't opened it yet. It's still up there with the Nintendo Switch that hasn't been opened, and my driving wheel, my Thrustmaster TSXW 310 Thrustmaster driving wheel that hasn't been opened either. So, it's up there. But anyway, man, I'm rambling at this point. Let's go ahead. Let's move on to the next story. Now, this is a quick news story. DayZ will be releasing on PlayStation 4 actually today. It's May 29th. So yeah, go ahead, get that and enjoy yourself, brother. Enjoy yourself. Now moving on to the next story. Now this story is for my PC brethren. Them PC guys out there. Love y'all, man. Y'all something else. Boy, y'all are something else. But nonetheless, Quantic Dreams has released a 45-minute demo for the upcoming Epic Store game almost a month ahead of its official release. Now, this game is actually it's going to be Heavy Rain. I didn't even write that down. What the heck were you thinking, Kiaun? Anyway, it's going to be a demo up. It's actually up right now of Heavy Rain. Now, this game is supposed to release on June 24th, but the game so far is going to be on the Epic Store exclusively. We all know that. Epic is on a tear right now. They doggone socking it to Steam right now. So anyway, the game is going to run at 4K and at 60 frames per second. And the demo lets you play through 2 chapters in the game's first act. I played Heavy Rain, man. David Cage, man, I love this brother. This brother is amazing. His storytelling is fantastic. He's had 3 really good games under his belt. Heavy Rain, Beyond Two Souls, and Detroit Become Human. Now, I gotta say, I can't speak on, Beyond Two Souls. I never played that game. I didn't get around to it. I heard mixed things about it. But Detroit Become Human, everybody has said that is the best game out of the 3. That's the best David Cage game that he has made to date, which makes sense because it's the latest one. He's had a lot of practice. Okay. So, with that being said, Heavy Rain, when I played it, that is one of the few games that I went back and played again and again and again. And the reason why was because the endings were so different. I mean, we've heard for years, especially if you're in my age bracket, 40 years old, we've heard for years that, hey, if you take this path, it's going to be a completely different ending. You take that path, completely different ending. And you get to the end and you compare the 2 endings. You're like, man, he just kicked the rock instead of picking the rock up. What the frick? It wasn't even worth my goddamn time. But with Heavy Rain, these were really different outcomes. The game was fantastic, and at the time, it was just one of the most amazing looking games out. I remember seeing the E3 demo where it was a woman in the kitchen and she was holding the knife. She was acting like, they were acting like she was, being, she was on a cast call. She was like casting for a role in a movie. Oh my gosh, it was amazing. And she was like holding the knife and you can see the facial details and she was just going into her character. She started crying. Oh, it was great. Man, so when I saw that demo, I said, holy cow. This is a game I got to pick up, and my goodness, it did not lose any of the graphical fidelity that they showed in that demo. So, Heavy Rain, I loved it. It was one of my favorite games from last generation. I look forward to playing Detroit Become Human. That's in the wrapper too. Good grief, man. I haven't got around to that either. God darn. But nonetheless, PC guys, play this game if you haven't played it. I think you'll enjoy it. Great story. I mean, the story was interesting. It was a good story. Took some turns I didn't see coming. So, yeah, I think I've harped on this long enough. But, yeah, check out the demo, god darn it. And if you haven't played it on the PlayStation 4 or the 3, well, let's say PlayStation 4, pick it up. It's a great game, man. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Now, let's move on to the next story. Now, hot dag, I'm hot, man. I'm sweating, brother. I got to open up this doggone bottle of water right here. Shoot, man. Hold on, man. Let me take a little squig. Hold on. Shugs, man. God dog, man. Throat starting to get scratchy and itchy out this mother lover. Now, in E3 news, Microsoft announced, and this is amazing. This is something else. But Microsoft announced that its E3 presentation will be 2 hours long. Now, let's put this in perspective, shall we? Now, last year's conference was 104 minutes long. So this year is looking like the longest E3 presentation ever. Good grief. Now this could be, now we got to think about it though, because this could be because Sony won't be there and Microsoft may have an influx. I mean, just a huge number of third parties that could be showing up on their E3 stage, or maybe they are going to go over so much Xbox news that they need the time. So we're talking about a 2-hour show. Possibly, that's, let me kind of reel it in just a little bit. That's the slot. That's the time slot that they chose, a 2-hour time slot. Now, last year, it was like, what, an hour, 44 minutes? So that's pretty long. And they showed a lot in that hour and 44 minutes. But this year, I mean, look, it's only an extra 15, possibly an extra 15 minutes that they're going to use. But did you see how many games they showed in that time limit? That time, they showed a ton of games, maybe not all exclusives. I mean, we got to understand it wasn't all exclusives, but nonetheless, it was a great show last year. And then we got to think about it this way, too. They're going to take out a 2-hour slot. They already announced that the Inside Xbox is going to be showing up that Monday, and they're going to go over more news. So this could be a huge number of different games coming out, different Microsoft news stories. Are we gonna see next generation? I mean, this stuff, man, oh my goodness, this could be amazing. This could be fantastic, and I'm very excited that they're doing this. 2 hours to show, man, I hope they just show some amazing content. That's all I'm asking for, Microsoft. Just show me the content. And then we got some other news, though. I didn't even write this down, but some Gears 5 news. That Gears 5. Now, look, listen. It's nothing is official. When I get excited, man, I start stuttering and all kinds of stuff. So pardon me, god dog it. But we heard that Gears 5 is going to be more open, almost like open world. You're going to be able to go around and actually explore and see the world for what it is and not kind of be stuck in a corridor, because Gears has always been essentially a open corridor because you could only get to the goal going a certain path, going a certain way. But with the coalition actually making this open world and making it so you can just explore, pick up all kinds of different cogs from different soldiers. I mean, I'm making this up in my mind, of course, but being able to just get around. And then when we saw it on not the PlayStation, but the Xbox E3 stage, when Kate was going around on that parasailing thing where she was just moving around, and man, oh my goodness, could you be going to different islands? Could you be going to different locations via that thing and being able to tackle the story in the way that you want to do it? I'm really excited to see that, man. I am complete, man. I am drenched in sweat right now, brother. Whew! But I'm excited nonetheless. Can't wait to see what Microsoft shows up with on their E3 stage. I have high hopes. Bleeding Edge is supposed to be there. Man, let me just move on. Good grief. It could be amazing. Goodness, it could be great. Now let's move on. Let me calm down. Let's talk about Konami. Now it looks like they could be, no. I wrote this way before. They are actually bringing out, they're bringing out Konami, Contra. Contra is making a comeback. Now, at first, this did come from a retail listing from, a Germany retailer that's called Net Games. Now, I wrote this down when it was a rumor. It wasn't officially, announced, but now as I'm recording this, as of right now, this is true. Now this is going to be, it's coming out for the Xbox One, the PlayStation 4, and the Nintendo Switch. And it's going to release, they were saying August 29th. Possibly, but it's also had a bit of an update of that. They're saying it could go into September. But once again, I wrote this down when it was a rumor. But nonetheless, they're going to be calling it the Contra Anniversary Collection, which is going to include, a lot of them, man. Look, it's going to have Contra, it's going to have Super Contra, Super C, Contra 3, the Alien Wars, which was my favorite, that was on the Super Nintendo, quite amazing. They're gonna have, let's see what else, Operation C, which is gonna be from the Game Boy. I don't know about that, brother, okay, but, anyway, gonna have Contra Hard Corps, which, is gonna be from the Genesis. They're gonna have, now these, it's going to have Probotector, which is from Sega CD, and they're going to have Super Robotector, which is from Super NES, and they're going to have the Contra arcade version included as well. Now, the Probotector, that Contra, I had never heard of that, but come to find out that was only released in Europe, in Australia. So they're going to be two Contra games that we have never played here stateside. So I'm really excited. I mean, everybody that's been around gaming, y'all know the famous code. Say it with me. Up, up, down, down, left, right, BA start. That is a classic code for Konami games. It worked in Life Force, where you could do it, the up, down, down code. That thing is synonymous with gaming history. So for them to be bringing back Contra, maybe it not being a new Contra, but just being able to relive some of those Contra memories. Oh my goodness. Contra was one. It was one of the first games that I beat, and my goodness, as I played the game, you talk about amazement. Oh, the game was awesome. Like I said, when Contra 3 Alien Wars came out on the Super Nintendo, oh my gosh. When you were fighting the, the boss where the missiles were coming everywhere and you had to jump from missile to missile to keep firing at the guy, was so epic. Oh, it was so amazing. So I'm really excited to relive some of these Contra memories, and who knows, I know they tried to reboot it on the PlayStation. It was an overhead view. It didn't do too well, wasn't that greatly received, but hopefully Konami might be pulling a Capcom here. They're bringing back their old franchises that gamers absolutely loved. I believe Castlevania, that anniversary came out a couple weeks ago, I think. I mean, very recent when they released that. So maybe they're trying to make a resurgence, and who knows, maybe this could lead to another Contra. I mean, we'll have to wait and see, but nonetheless, this is exciting for me personally. I can't wait to have this release and pick these classic games up. Unfortunately, it was no price point at this time, but nonetheless, this should be fantastic, man. Now, let's move on to the next gaming story. Now, if you weren't aware, Kojima actually put up a post on Twitter that says, and I quote, "The countdown of hashtag Death Stranding has started. May 29th, create the rope." End of quote. Now, this is the thing. I wrote this story too before I got more, confirmation on some things that are happening. Now, when I say confirmation, I'm just looking up stuff. Ain't nobody contacting me by email or by phone. No insiders, anything like that. I'm just a normal guy that just loves gaming. So I don't want to sound more important than what I am. But as I kept reading and did more research, I did find that there was now, this event is supposed to happen today. I don't know what time, but they were saying that on Twitter, it's some doggone mud tracks of some kind of, looks like somebody walking, but it's nothing there. But, this is going to go down sometime today, but they did say, at least from Taiwan, it was leaked by PlayStation Taiwan, where they confirmed that, allegedly confirmed that Death Stranding would release on November 8th, 2019. So we know that this is going to happen today. This Death Stranding reveal. This has been a game that many people have been anticipating from Kojima, because Kojima hasn't worked on anything since Metal Gear Solid 5. Oh! I gotta retract something too. Last week during Video Game Theater, I said that was taken from Metal Gear Solid 5. That wasn't 5, brother. Nah, I messed up. That was from Metal Gear Solid 4. What was it? I forget, the Patriot, something like that. Yeah, that was from that game. My bad on that. But getting back to this story though, if this game is releasing November of this year, this could be amazing, because, like I said, that's what I was saying. Kojima hasn't worked on anything since Metal Gear Solid 5. Him and Konami, they had a bad breakup. He was gag ordered, couldn't really talk about it, but, Sony picked him up, and he's been working on this game for quite a few years. Now, when I look at Death Stranding, I don't know what the heck I see. I mean, this is Kojima to the fullest, because I have no idea if he's delivering packages. I don't know what these monsters are that are coming out that look like they're made of ink, or that they could be a hallucination and then some tentacles come up out the ground. You got a baby doggone in somebody's mouth, and in their stomach they're carrying a baby with a glowing light on it. I don't know what the frick is going on with this game, but it looks interesting. So today we're going to get more news about it. This is pre-E3. Sony, they're doing their thing. They're staying in the limelight of gaming news leading up to E3. But, we'll have to see what comes of this game. But if this is coming out once again, like the rumor said, if it's coming out on November 8th of this year, good gosh, what a big game this could possibly be. Once again, I'm not 100% sold on it. It looks gorgeous. Oh, the game looks absolutely amazing. That Horizon Zero Dawn engine that they're using, that Kojima's using from Guerrilla Games, is absolutely stunning. I have no doubts that the game, it's going to continue to look beautiful. It's going to be like that. But I just need to know what the heck is going on, because the guy's in the shower. He's tearing off his toenail in blood. Man, typical Kojima stuff, man. So later on today, we'll figure out what's going on with that. So let's go ahead and move on, though, from this story. And let's go ahead and get into the next story. Now, let's see what we got here. Now, this next rumor. Oh, shucks. I wrote this up. Man, listen. I don't even know why I wrote this down, because this next rumor is so far-fetched. Now, I don't even know why I'm going to even report on it, but nonetheless, I wrote it down. Nonetheless, here we go. Now, there's a Spanish website called, Legion, de Honduras. I hope I said that right. God darn, I'd be messing up so bad. But they're saying that we're getting another state of play on Thursday, May 30th, which during the recording of this is tomorrow. Now, this is the freaking kicker right here. Now, if that doesn't sound far-fetched enough that we're going to be getting another state of play this fast and right before E3, then listen to this. They're saying that the state of play is going to feature and focus on The Last of Us Part 2. Now, brothers, I got to say, this is not happening. I have no I have no hopes of this happening because, once again, I read this and I was about to start recording and I went back over just to see if anything was updated. Now, it's another rumor out there. Good grief, just rumors. God darn it. But it's another rumor out there that's saying that the game got bumped out, The Last of Us Part 2, it got bumped out into 2020. Now, once again, if that Taiwan, the PlayStation Taiwan is correct about Death Stranding coming out in November, then it is no way in the world that PlayStation will want to release three of their AAA titles, and I mean 2 huge games, those being Death Stranding and The Last of Us Part 2, in the same year. It doesn't make sense. You gotta pad this stuff out. You have, the way I look at it, you got Days Gone this year and you got Death Stranding coming this year. That's a solid year. Next year, supposed to be the start of next generation. You bring out Ghost of Tsushima and you bring out The Last of Us Part 2. That is a fantastic way to end your generation. You can't ask for more than that. Being a fan of Sony, I don't think anybody would be mad at that, especially because of their track record. You end with those 2 games on the last quote unquote year of the PlayStation 4. That is a heck of a way to go out on top. So, with this rumor right here, I would exit, but I had to report it because anything is possible, but I wouldn't hold my breath. Tell you that much. Take this with a mustard seed of hope and truth. Now let's move on. Now this was a quick one. Right here, quick news story. Sea of Solitude. This game is going to arrive on July 5th. Now, if you're not familiar with this game, this was a game that was announced last year at EA's E3 show. This game looks good, man. Look it up. It's called Sea of Solitude. It actually has a art style that reminds you of Gravity Rush, of the Gravity Rush franchise. It looks good. I'm very interested in it. I think it's going to be a AA game. I don't think it's AAA. Think it's coming from an indie developer. But nonetheless, I thought it was cool. It was good to mention it because the game it looks good. Looks really good. Check it out. But, into some more news, man. Now, this is Ubisoft. Now, I had 2 stories on Ubisoft. I'll just combine them into one. Ubisoft, they were saying that a potential leak came out. Now, this leak came from Spiel Times, and this site is reporting that Ubisoft is working on a multiplayer-focused roller derby game, and a roller derby game, brother. I'm gonna tell you, man, back, what was it, like in the early 90s, man, roller derby, it used to come on, brother, and I used to love it, man. They be going around with their skates on, they just be bumping each other, bam, they knock them so hard, they fly over the doggone railing, they be pulling each other's hair, they be tackling each other darn near, they be getting clipped up with each other's skates. This could be really, really dope if it's done well. Then once again, it's a multiplayer only game, but, I haven't seen a roller derby game since like the Super Nintendo. So this could be something really, really cool. Imagine tackling somebody, man, especially if the graphics look good and, it's just a fun multiplayer game. I probably won't play it because it's multiplayer, but if it's easy enough to pick up and you can just have fun with your friends and, doing all kinds of activities, this could be kind of dope, man. This could be interesting. We know Ubisoft, they take tons of risks. I mean, they'll risk it all. Well, I ain't going to say risk it all, but they will take risks on some things that a lot of AAA developers won't do. So we'll have to see if this is going to be AAA, AA, who knows. But nonetheless, god darn Ubisoft, what the heck is going on? That's right, the game got delayed. I forgot the ship game. What was it? Crossbones, Skull and Bones. That got delayed. I forgot to report that, but there's no telling when that's coming out. So I was very excited about Skull and Bones, but unfortunately that's delayed. But the other Ubisoft story, not to get long-winded with Ubisoft, but the other story that's coming out of Ubisoft is that it's another rumor floating around, and this rumor was started by, VG247, who says that a listing for a quote-unquote Ubisoft Pass Premium, end of quote, was seen on the Ubisoft store. So could we be getting an announcement of this so-called service at E3? Now, we know that that seems to be another way that the industry is going, and I don't like it because, look, you already have EA Access out there. You have Xbox Game Pass. I mean, you got Origin on PC. And now you mean to tell me, now that's if this is true, that Ubisoft, and I believe Ubisoft has something on the PC as well, I believe. But I mean to tell me that if they get into it as well, we could have like 4 or 5 different services just on the console, probably a little bit more. But this seems like that's another way. I don't want to have to subscribe to this service or that service and that service and that service. Then all of a sudden, just in game services, you're coming up $50, $60, maybe $70 a month with it. But nonetheless, hold on, I got to think about it in a different way. Now, this might not be bad. Like for EA Access, I don't think any of it's necessarily bad because it's all options. Nobody's twisting your arm. Nobody's making you do it. It's an option. So if a person is really into Ubisoft games, they love Splinter Cell, they love Watch Dogs, they love Rainbow, the Rainbow Six franchise, or Ghost Recon, any of those games, even hasn't shown up for 50 million years, but Prince of Persia, I mean, these are the kind of games that they like. Ubisoft is their main attraction to gaming. That could be great for somebody that wants to just solely play Ubisoft games. So you gotta look at it that way. Some people, they love Madden. They love what EA brings to the table, so they sign up for, EA Access. It's not a bad thing, but it will be interesting to see, nonetheless, if this is true or not. Like I said, E3, a little more than a week out. Think it's going to be amazing. We'll have to see, though. Now, moving on into the final story. Now, this pertains to my Mortal Kombat 11 fans. Now, it looks like some possible DLC news will be headed your way next week, according to a tweet from Ed Boon, who said, and I quote, "Fingers crossed. If all goes well, next week we will be announcing the fighters that will be joining Shang Tsung in Mortal Kombat 11's DLC." End of quote. So we'll have to see, man. Hopefully, it seems like it could be a bit of a problem. I don't know if they're still working on some things or if they're thinking about maybe talking about it during E3. I mean, I don't know. But nonetheless, this is a possibility. Like you said, once again, fingers crossed. If all goes well, next week we'll get it. So we'll have to see. But anyway, that is the end of the gaming news this week. But guys, stay tuned because we're going to get into the final section of the podcast right after this week's Video Game Theater. Hopefully I don't botch it. Stay tuned, guys.
Holly, darling. Look at you. Such a big girl. Cosplaying a superhero. Laughing in the Batcave. But you hear it, don't you?
Hear what?
The real you. Buried under the floorboards. Scratching to get out. The one who cut her friends' throats. And laugh about it. That's my girl.
And Welcome back, guys. Welcome back. We are in the final section of the podcast, but before we get into the final section, I want to once again shout out Mr. Goose. I want you listeners out there, Goose has just helped release a game over on Google Play, if you're on Android or the Apple Store, I guess. But definitely go over there and download it. The name of the game is Jigsaw Ultimate. It's a free-to-play game. Definitely go over there, download it, and have a good time with it. So shout out to Goose again for helping to work on this game. Once again, it's called Jigsaw Ultimate. Go ahead and download it. It's free. Show some support to the brother. Now, moving on into the final section of the podcast, I want to ask you guys now, E3, I've mentioned it several times in this episode, that E3 is just a little over a week away. Now, my question to you guys is, could Sony steal Microsoft's E3 thunder? Now, of course, we've known for quite some time that Sony is out. They're not in E3 this year. They said it months ago. But we have seen this trend this year. Maybe not, probably just hasn't been this year, but this year for sure, we've seen that anytime Microsoft is about to make an announcement, Sony some kind of way finds their way into the news for that day. Just like when Inside Xbox happened and they were going to talk about releasing the discless Xbox. Well, that was the day that we got news about what kind of architecture that we're going to be working with the PlayStation 5. We found out it's going to have some form of ray tracing. I mean, it was all kinds of news that came out that day. So for me, I think that Sony is going to want to be relevant during E3 week. What could they say or release or do to make them relevant that week? I don't know. Possibly more news on The Last of Us somewhere as we get closer to E3. Maybe some unannounced game that they could talk about. Maybe some more PlayStation 5 specs we might be hearing about. Who knows? But that is my question to you guys. Could Sony steal Microsoft's E3 thunder? I would love to hear from you guys, and if you want to be a part of this conversation, you can definitely do it two different ways. Either call in, leave a voicemail at 443-216-9934, or email the show, and the email address is theanalogcirclepodcast@gmail.com. Before we get out of here, guys, I want to let you guys know this too. I meant to say this way earlier in the podcast, but there will not be an official an official podcast next week. It won't be an official Analog Circle podcast. It'll basically be a predictions E3 show next week. So if you want to be a part of that, you already know how to do it. Email, call in, let me know your predictions, because that's what I'm going to be going over. Because as E3 gets closer, when it's literally like that week of, that's when a ton of leaks and like legit leaks start coming out. And I don't want the show completely ruined for me, so I kind of do a media blackout that week of E3, because I want to have something to hold on to while the show is going on. So with that being said, though, guys, I was your host, Kiaun Mitchell. Once again, thank you guys for tuning in to the Analog Circle podcast, and we will definitely be back next week. Just not a full show, but we will be back next week nonetheless. So with that being said, you guys take care, and always remember, it's not about the consoles, it is about the games. So you guys take care, be safe out there, bye-bye.